Happy Tuesday. Happy So What Day. Happy Tuesday before Christmas. I hope that you are all, at least feeling like you might be ready for the holidays and that you've gotten your sewing done and the gifts are wrapped and all of that good stuff. But let's be real. I'm sure that there are many of you like me out there who have nothing wrapped and who still need some quick gift ideas. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, are some last minute things that you can still make in time for the big day. And a lot of them are ornaments. I think ornaments make great gifts. You can use them for gift tags. You can gift them to all sorts of people, from kids to teachers to friends to grandparents. They're just great keepsakes and really, things that we want to make with our hands. We want to be able to personalize those things so that, they are something that we want to keep forever and always. So before we get started on a couple of great ornament projects, I want to remind everyone here of our New Year's Eve Sew Along event. This is the event of the year, okay? We will be with Sally Tomato on New Year's Eve starting at 12 noon Eastern Time. I know a lot of you have signed up already. I appreciate that so much. We did have a revision to the pattern. So if you already got your pattern off of the event page after registering for the event, you will need to go back in there and download it again. When you release a pattern, and, I'm sure this happens with a lot of pattern designers, is you notice little things that are going to make everybody's lives easier while they're working their way through the pattern. And that's exactly what happened here. So be sure to grab up the revised instructions so that you are ready to sew along with us on New Year's Eve. Now, if you already cut out your pattern pieces, you're totally fine because there were no changes to the dimensions of the pattern. So if you already cut out those pieces, you're good to go. There are just a couple of instructions that were edited to make your lives a little bit easier on New Year's Eve. So keep that in mind. I did send out an email to all registrants letting you all know that the pattern had been revised. But if you didn't receive that email, just be sure that you're downloading the correct, most recent instructions. And I know Sally Tomato has a page on their website as well for their past patterns and things like that as they, develop them further or just have some tips that they want to add in for you. There's a page to refer to get any kind of modifications and things like that for a lot of their patterns. So this is nothing new. And, just follow along with us on New Year's Eve and all will be well. We are really busy and in the throes of making sure that event is fantastic. And as you may well know, it is a pajama party theme this year. So make sure that you are in your favorite pajamas or come as you are. We want you to be comfortable and join us for this 4-hour-long sew along event. If you do have any questions about the event, be sure to reach out to us at info@sulky.com and we'll make sure to answer those. Now, if you sign up for the event, it is $9.99 to register for the event. And with your entry fee, you will get the brand new Aurora bag pattern completely free. It's a $9.99 pattern. And I'm actually going to step to the side and grab mine because I finished one of mine. I know you can't hear me very well because I just went away from the microphone really quickly, but I went ahead and finished one of my bags. I got it in 2 colorways because I couldn't decide. The kits are available at sallytomato.com. You'll find that pretty blue kit or this beautiful kind of reddish kit. This is, has all the colors of the rainbow. I absolutely love how it turned out. So I went ahead and made my bag. It needs a little bit of pressing because I just turned it right side out. And of course, we have our Sewist patch collection that you will also get with your entry fee. that also has a $9.99 value. So for only $9.99, you're getting the event, the 4-hour-long instruction, you'll be getting the pattern, and the Sewist Patch collection. And I will be showing you during the event how to create these really cute sewing-themed patches in the hoop of your embroidery machine. Now, if you don't have an embroidery machine, you can choose to purchase the kit from Sally Tomato that comes with a pre-made patch instead. So everybody can have a patch, whether you make it yourself or buy a pre-made patch, and you can personalize your bag or lots of other things that you make and be proud that you have sewn this yourself. So yay, I'm super excited for you guys to work through this pattern with the folks at Sally Tomato, and let's join each other in our jammies. Okay, all right, so be sure to register, get that going. And I have another event to tell you about that's happening on January 11th. It is our next free webcast with Sulky and Cheryl Cusack of Paradiso Designs. I'm going to explain all that after I go through the ornaments today that we will be working on. So, speaking of making things in the hoop of your embroidery machine, I absolutely love in the hoop projects, especially for gift giving, because you can kind of assembly line style these ornaments and make lots in one hoop and gift them away to all of your friends. So kind of in one hooping, one set of trimming, one set of washing away, you can kind of do all these steps grouped together and really bang out a lot of these and create some really special ornaments. So this is an in the hoop ornament, and it's actually made all in thread. Okay, so this is like an in the hoop lace ornament. It was designed by Sweet Pea Embroidery, and they presented this ornament in a free webinar that we did a while back, but I thought it was special enough to bring it back for you all. In case you didn't join us for that webinar, or you're new to Sulky webcasts and videocasts, you can access all of our legacy events at sewingonline.sulky.com. So while you are on our education platform signing up for New Year's Eve, take a look at the other education offerings and you will find this in the hoop ornament and gift tag webcast, and you can watch it completely for free. You will get this design and a design to create some gift tags completely free just by registering for that webinar. So you'll be getting this in the hoop lacy sort of snowflake ornament, as well as these gift tag designs. And what I love about these gift tag designs is that the front is a little pocket. So you can put a little message, or you could put a gift card in there. And, not only does the recipient get a little gift tag on a larger gift, but you could also hang this as an ornament and put a little gift card inside. So these come together really quickly, and they show off Sulky rayon thread. We have kits for these available. And with all of these threads, the needles, and the Ultra Solvy, you can create those gift tags as well as that in the hoop snowflake ornament. So it comes together really quickly in the hoop of your embroidery machine. You'll just follow the PDF instructions from Sweet Pea for each step, where and when to place your fabrics for to build those gift tags out. And plus, you can watch that entire webinar for free and watch them take you through the project from start to finish for both the snowflake ornament and the gift tag, all in one event. So again, if you missed that one, be sure to register for it at sewingonline.sulky.com. Add that New Year's Eve event to your cart. Add tons of legacy webinars, webcasts, and videocasts. And, if you have kids or grandkids that are home from school for winter break or about to be home from school like mine, I only have one more day, you guys. No, but I'm excited to spend this time with my kids. And, we are always looking for crafts and sewing things and sewing projects to make. And it's a really great way to bond together, to teach them something new, and they get something, a finished project out of it. And maybe they go and gift that to their friends or their teachers and that type of thing. And then they really feel ownership in that. And it gives them, a lot of pride to give away something that they've made with their hands. So in the Hoop projects are great for that, as long as you are supervising, especially with younger kids. Stick with them by the machine as it's going through these steps. And, they get to press the start and stop button. And my kids really love in the Hoop projects for that. I let them do the trimming. I let them press start and stop. And, then they can keep their hands away from the needle as it's sewing. But I also came up with another ornament that the kids can definitely help make. This is a little snow globe ornament. Now, not only can the kids help make this, but this is my family right here on the little snow globe. And, they can trace a circle. They can learn how to sew curved areas. Or you can have them cut out the felt for the little snow globe base. They can also sew around that. You can also do this by hand. So you can poke holes around the outside of the circle and poke holes along the outside of the base. And they can just follow with needle and thread, or even a larger needle and some yarn, and they can create this entirely themselves, or feel like they're creating it entirely themselves. So I'm going to go over the quick and easy how-tos. You'll see just how quickly this comes together. I started with a holiday card that's actually a couple of years old. I always have a few extra cards that don't get mailed out. And that is the perfect kind of weight for an ornament. You want it to be, kind of cardstock weight. And I also have a felt sheet that's going to go on the back of the cardstock. I also have a little rectangle of felt that's going to become the ornament base. And then I also have a little square of vinyl that goes over the top of your cardstock photo. And that is how you can enclose the little glitter and sequins that your kids or yourself get to pour in between the vinyl and the cardstock. And that's really where my kids go crazy. Let's be real. When the glitter comes out, they are all about making the craft, whatever it may be. So glitter, sequins, you can even put tiny beads. If you have those in your stash, that would work for the snow globe as well. So you want to first start by finding the picture, right, that you want to use. And like I said, I used a Christmas card from a couple of years ago, but you could also sort of frame out a motif that's maybe from a Christmas card, or even a magazine would probably work. You can find any image you want. This would work great for pets, for anyone that you want to kind of showcase in your snow globe. Or maybe it's a picture of your home, or maybe it's just a pretty picture that you find in a magazine or a card, that type of thing. So find that, gather your felt, find a scrap of vinyl. I made my circle. I want to say, I really just drew a circle freehand around our faces to make sure that everybody's face was going to fit in the snow globe. So you can really make this as large or as small as you want. It really just depends on that picture and that motif that you're centering in your circle. So go ahead and trace your circle around the image, and then you will simply just cut it out. So I've got my cardstock or, photo paper circle. Then I have my felt behind it and my vinyl on top. You want all of these 3 circles to be the same size. So I first cut out the image, then I use that as my template to cut out my other circles. All right, and the vinyl can get a little bit slippery, so I found that the Clover Wonder Clips work really good to hold these layers together. You don't want to use pins because you're working with vinyl. And pins are going to create permanent holes in the vinyl. So using clips or binder clips could also work, but these Clover Wonder clips are really great. We have them at sulky.com. If you still don't have these in your sewing arsenal, you definitely want to pick some of these up. All right, so now we really just need to sew these layers together, and we're going to leave an opening along the upper edge so that we can insert our glitter or our sequins or our beads in through the vinyl and the photo layer. You know what? You could probably even just use a regular printed photo as well. That has a good weight to it as well. And you're going to be protecting it with vinyl, so it'll probably last a good amount of time as well. All right, so like I said, you're going to sew that whole circle. Be sure to leave an opening along the top or along one of the sides so that you can put your hanging loop as well as insert your fun little glittery accoutrements, okay? So this is where the sewing the curves is a great lesson that you can teach the littles or just a newbie who isn't really used to sewing curves on the sewing machine. So if you have a specialty presser foot that allows you to see the lines on the presser foot that's pictured here, you can keep lining up that curved edge with one of the lines on the presser foot and keep stopping with the needle down in the materials and then shifting, stop with the needle down in the material and keep shifting to keep that curve nice and straight. You could also zigzag around this, but you really want to make sure that your sequins or beads or whatever you're using inside for your snow globe snow are, staying in the layers. So I actually made my stitch length even narrower, I think a 2.0, so that I didn't have gaps in the stitching so that glitter wouldn't seep out of the edges because, as you well know, glitter will get everywhere and stay there until the end of days. So, I did my best to try to keep that contained. All right. So now is the fun part of adding your sequins, adding your glitter, that type of thing. I also wanted to mention, there was a little bit of a border along the bottom of the image that I was using, and I just covered that up with the base of the snow globe. So, don't feel like you have to cut off certain elements of your photo, things like that. You could cover them up with little felt circles that you want to, cut out and maybe glue once your snow globe is complete to kind of hide the undesirable areas of your images, things like that. So, this is a kid craft, but yet still something really special that you'll want to keep forever and ever. All right, so in that opening that you left along the upper edge of your circle, you're going to put some sequins, some glitter, those kinds of things. Make sure they're, small and flat. Beads would work if they're really, if they're really tiny beads, things like that. So go ahead and pour those in between the vinyl and the photo. And, kids are always going to want to do more, especially when it comes to glitter. And, some adults as well, because as you could see, I probably added a bit too many sequins in my project. I don't know. Can there be too many sequins? You guys let me know. But I kind of covered up some of our faces a little bit too much, but I just went with it. You can always kind of move the sequence around once you finish sewing that upper edge seam so that you can see everybody's cute little faces. All right, so once you have filled this up to your liking, you can clip the upper edge closed, but don't sew it yet because you need to add your hanging loop. So for this, I just chose a really narrow, like 1/8 inch wide ribbon that I had in my stash, just folded it in half, and I put the ribbon ends between the back of the picture or the cardstock and the felt. So that's where that felt backing comes in handy. It's going to conceal those ribbon ends. So you've got your sequins in the front, and your ribbon between those back 2 layers. Then use a wonder clip or a binder clip to clip that all shut and continue sewing to close up that whole upper edge. All right, so some of you are asking, you might have some stickiness, right? Because you're sewing on this vinyl. Vinyl can be a little bit tricky to sew. So a couple of things you can do. If you have a walking foot, that is helpful because it's going to make sure that all of the layers go underneath the presser foot at the same rate. So you've got your feed dogs on the bottom guiding that felt through, and then you've got your walking foot on top that's guiding the top through at the same time. So you don't have, your presser foot isn't sticking on the top while the bottom is moving along. Another thing you can try is you can use a Teflon, or I believe they're called PTFE feet. And that foot has a special coating on it that results in less sort of stickage, I guess. So less friction between the presser foot and the vinyl. That also is helpful. If you happen to have some sewer's aid, I always have some right next to my machine. If I can get into, what's really funny is I just said I always have it next to my machine, and yet I cannot find it right now when I need it. At any rate, Sewer's Aid is a water-based lubricant that's really great for thread ends, helps you thread a needle much easier. It's really great for sewing metallic threads because it reduces the friction that those threads can kind of produce as they're passing through the needle eye. You can try putting a little tiny dab on your finger of Sewer's Aid and just rub it on the bottom of the presser foot. And you really just need a tiny little bit. You can sew that entire seam by top stitching the vinyl, and then just wipe it away with a cloth. It's water-based, so it's not going to have any oily residue, and that would work as well. I have also heard people taking just clear tape, like Scotch tape, just clear gift wrapping tape, and cutting it to fit the bottom side of your presser foot. Just cut little strips so that none of the tape is visible on the right side. And that tape will give you kind of a coated surface, much like a Teflon foot would. And you can try that on the bottom side of your presser foot to help it kind of glide over the vinyl. That also works for laminated cottons, some faux leathers, just any kind of fabric that has like a coating on it like that. So these are good tips just all around for those kind of stickier type of fabrics. Especially if you're working with a beginner and you are top stitching over this vinyl. If they're experiencing any stickiness, just try one of those solutions and they will be off to the races. The most important thing here is to not lose the contents while you're sewing the rest of that seam, right? You don't want your glitter and sequins to start pouring out. So don't overfill it. And you can also try using your wonder clips on each seam end of your previous seam. And that'll kind of keep all that sequins and stuff at bay. But just use your hand and kind of encourage it to all stay along one side of an area that's already sewn on that circle, and then, finish sewing your seam and it will all be enclosed in there. And don't forget to sew over your ribbon so that you have a hanging loop. Because, I always forget to add those things, and then I sew the entire circle and I'm like, uh-oh, now I get to rip out some stitches. So try to remember that you need that hanging loop in there and to insert your ribbon ends through the back of your ornament. All right, so now we've got to add our little stand for the snow globe. And I just chose a red color of felt. You can even use craft felt here. You can even use the stiffer craft felt. Sometimes it has like a metallic fleck running through it. You can find those at the craft or fabric store. And I just cut a rectangle and then I angled the top edges a little bit so that it looked like a snow globe base. And all the instructions for this kid ornament are on the Sulky blog at blog.sulky.com. You can find the dimensions that I used for the rectangle, and all the full instructions are there. So you don't have to write anything down while you're watching me here today. You can just head on over to the blog, and I put the link for this post in the description today during the live stream. So if you're not seeing that while I am talking to you, be sure to hit that little see more button, whether you're watching on Facebook today or on our YouTube channel. Hit the little see more button and the whole description will pop out for today's post. You'll find links for this. You'll find links for the In the Hoop Snowflake Ornament and those gift tags. You'll find links for the ornament I am about to talk about as well. So everything should be there for you in the description of today's post. All right, I think I forgot to say that. So you'll cut 2 rectangles, one for the front of your snow globe and one for the back, and just sandwich them together and make sure you have a little bit of that circle edge caught in the top of your base. And again, use those trusty Wonder Clips to make sure that that is nice and secure. All right, so once you have that, it's as simple as top stitching your base along all 4 edges. And you are working with a little bit of bulk here. So I used a 90-14 top stitch needle actually for this entire project. You might be able to get away with an 80-12 depending on the thread weight that you're using. Now for this, I used 50 weight cotton thread. It was strong enough to hold all of these layers together because it's the high quality Sulky 50 weight cotton thread. You could also use a 30 weight thread. If you're using 30 weight thread, definitely use that 90-14 needle. If you're using the 50 weight, you can get away with an 80-12 needle or even maybe a 75-11 as well. But you want a really sharp pointed needle like a top stitch needle to make sure that you can pierce through all of those layers, especially if you're using a thicker weight craft felt for the base or even for the backing of your ornament. All right, so simply top stitch your ornament base, and that is all there is to it. You see how quickly that comes together? And also, I forgot to mention, when you are top stitching that base, make sure you move your sequins and every glitter, whatever you're using in the inside, move that towards the upper edge so that you're not accidentally sewing over any of it when you attach that base piece. So a lot of kind of moving that around. And then when you're done, you can kind of shake it around and disperse all of that fun glitter and glitz and let it go anywhere it wants. And then you have your completed ornament. And here is what it looks like on my tree. So you can do all kinds of personalization things to really make this your own. On that little base, you could do some hand embroidery and maybe write, the March family, or do a pretty monogram in hand embroidery, or even do some machine embroidery on your felt before you cut it out into that base shape. And then when you sandwich your pieces, the backside of your embroidery will be concealed. And it's just another way to kind of personalize this ornament and really make it your own. So I'm sure you all will come up with some great ideas for how to take this really simple idea and elevate it, or keep it super simple and kind of streamline these and have all of your kids, maybe you have grandkids that you are spending the holidays with, and this is a really great activity to do for a couple of hours, and they'll have this personalized ornament. They could even, showcase one of their favorite cartoon characters or something in the center and really have fun with it and make several of these. So hopefully this keeps the little ones busy for at least a little while over the holidays and gives them a fun craft to do and teaches them a little bit about sewing. All right, so one more ornament that I want to share with you. This is another throwback that I did last year, and I really love this idea because just like the ornament I just showed you, there's a lot of ways to personalize this and make it your own for your own interests, right? To suit anyone's interests. So this is a little pillow, and it's only about 3 inches square, and it makes a really cute ornament. And then also, when it's not Christmas time, you can simply use it as a pin cushion next to your sewing machine. So stuff it with any number of things. You know, a lot of people will add some crushed up walnuts or crushed up walnut skins, shells. I don't know why I couldn't come up with that. So gather those up. You know, if you have like one of those big, you know, holiday mixed nuts bowls with the nutcracker and those things that we seem to get out at the holidays, you know, gather up those walnut shells. People like to stuff pin cushions with those. So that's a good idea for this. I've heard people sometimes will mix some steel wool in with their stuffing to sharpen needles and stuff like that. So any way you like to stuff this, just be aware, you know, are you going to be using this as a pin cushion? Are you going to be using this on your Christmas tree? Make sure you're not stuffing it with something that's flammable, because we don't want that on our Christmas trees at all. So this is a simple applique, and you can get the free little tomato pin cushion applique at the Sulky blog. Again, I linked to that in the description of today's post, so you can find this particular applique and use that. Grab up some Sulky Perfect Applique Fusible Web while you're at it. And that is the great fusible web that's brand new at sulky.com. If you haven't worked with it yet, you will absolutely love it. It is such a lightweight and really easy to sew through, easy to use, and really strong bond. All right, so we've got our tomato pin cushion. You will cut that out. You can zigzag stitch over it. Choose any decorative stitch that you like. You can straight stitch. Really just make it your own. Choose a decorative stitch that you've never used before on your sewing machine. You know, these little projects like that are ways to experiment with maybe some stitches or techniques that you've never done before. And it's such a little project that you won't feel like you've wasted a ton of fabric by experimenting. So maybe a tomato cushion, pin cushion for a sewing friend. Maybe you want to just do a simple heart for someone else on your gift list. So these really come together so quickly. You could make several before Christmas Eve in a few days. All right, so simply choose the stitch that speaks to you to secure your applique. This applique then also has, you know, the little top of the tomato in green fabric, and then there's also a few pins. And you can kind of see them in this image here, but I simply did a straight stitch for the pin body, and then I zigzagged over for the pin head. And you might even have a circle stitch on your sewing machine, and you could do your pin head using that. So again, now is a time to kind of be creative and look at all those decorative stitches. So then, you know, it wouldn't be the holidays or a holiday gift without some pom-pom fringe. I love pom-pom fringe, and this is a mini pom-pom fringe. So cute. I love them. So I added some pom-pom fringe to this ornament, and before I stitched anything together, you know, right and wrong sides of the little pillow, I basted my trim in place so that at the trim ends, which you always really want to start and stop your trim along a less conspicuous spot. So the lower edge or a side seam, or even in this case, along one of the corners, because you can overlap those trim ends at the corners and kind of position the poms so that they don't intersect. And then it looks like one continuous strip of pom-pom fringe. So baste your fringe in place, or pom-pom trim, or rick-rack, or whatever you want to choose to trim your little pillow, because it really just makes it that much more fun and kind of campy and, I don't know, special. And since these are you know, like I mentioned, they're about 4 inches square or so, you can dive into your scrap bins, and there's probably a piece of trim that is just the right size that you can use for this. And none of my colors really went together. They weren't holiday themed. They were more sewing themed. So if you're making one with a heart or making one with a unicorn, or maybe you have a fabric print that you love, you can fussy cut that fabric print and that can be your applique. So think outside the box with this one and choose a fabric that the recipient is really going to love. Or, again, if you don't have a lot of a fabric, but you love that print, just fussy cut one of the motifs and then zigzag stitch it or satin stitch it or straight stitch it to the front of your little pillow, and you're good to go. All right, so after basting your trim, then you will put your pillow back, right sides facing the front, and use your Wonder Clips to clip, clip, clip around the perimeter. And then you will just sew the perimeter, making sure to leave that opening for stuffing and for turning. Now my opening does not look real pretty right here, but we made it work. So you'll have that opening for stuffing and turning. Turn it right side out. Oh, I almost forgot. When you're doing this step and basting that trim in place, this is where you don't want to forget your ribbon hanger. I was just talking about forgetting the ribbon hanger in the previous ornament. So make sure you have something to hang your ornament. I chose another really thin ribbon. It's 1/8 of an inch wide in white. And I just made sure to put it along both corners on the upper edge, maybe a 1/2 inch in from each corner. Make sure to sandwich those ends when you add your backing fabric so that when you turn it right side out, you've got your hanger along the top and your opening along the bottom. All right. So then we're going to stuff this with the stuffing of our choice. I just used fiber fill here and I stuffed it pretty taut so that when I'm not using it as an ornament, it can be used as a pin cushion. So lots and lots of stuffing so it's bursting with that fiber fill. And you can see my hanging loop at the top there that I managed to remember. All right, so now it's just a matter of hand sewing that opening closed and making sure that our stuffing is nice and tidy inside. And, if your opening was as ugly as mine, you can hide it all with your hand stitches. So you can use a ladder stitch, a whip stitch, a slip stitch, whatever you like, whatever invisible stitch you're really good at or you enjoy. You will just sew that to the back of your trim and your pillow / ornament / pin cushion will then be complete. So this comes together super simple, couldn't be cuter. You could personalize this with the recipient's name along the front. You could add more stitching or quilting. You can make this as simple or as intricate as you want. And this would be another great kid craft to really let the kids get into your scrap bin, pick a fun fabric that they like, make this tiny little pillow, and it can go on the tree. Or, even make these into like an Advent style bunting. You could put a number on each one of these, maybe for next year. So really versatile and great quick gift that you can give to someone or craft or something to do over winter break with the kids. All right, so I hope you enjoyed those 3 ornament ideas. And again, I wanted to talk about our next event, after New Year's. And this is our next free webcast happening on January 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Can you believe we're talking about 2022? It's right around the corner here. So this is our Posh Project and Tech Trapper. Cheryl Cusack from Paradiso Designs designed this awesome sort of modern take on the briefcase, if you will. Briefcase seems like such an outdated term. It's really like a modern kind of trapper keeper. Does that age me or what? Yes, I had trapper keepers, and yes, I loved them. So the inside of this, it snaps open, and you can use it to store your makeup, your toiletries for travel. You can use it to store sewing supplies. You can use it to store your laptop or tablet in the large concealed zipper pouch. And then in these vinyl pockets, you can store your earbuds, your charging cords, all of those, accessories that we need when we're on the go, or even just organizing our laptop or tablet and keeping all of those things neat and tidy. So this is a really upscale version of that. You can use it for travel or for everyday. It's just so sleek and nice and a great gift idea for any gender, any age. If you know somebody who's going off to college, this would make a great gift. Or you could just make it for yourself. If you're getting ready to travel again in 2022 or have a big trip planned, if you're going to be joining us on our craft tours trip in September to Germany and Italy, I want to see you all with your tech trappers or project totes, whatever you decide to store in this great little project. So the cool thing about this is not only can you use it for a number of different things, but you can embellish it in different ways. So Cheryl's going to show off our Poly Sparkle thread. You can use that for quilting. You can see that it's a sparkly embellishment, but it's a subtle embellishment. The sparkle isn't overtaking it, making it, gaudy or garish. It's really just a subtle sparkle that just gives it interest and a little bit of style. Or if you don't want to do the sparkly quilting, you can use the Poly Deco thread that she's using to construct this, and you can use that for the quilting instead. So she's going to give you lots of tips for working with that 30 weight Poly Sparkle, as well as the Poly Deco, which is a 40 weight, tension adjustments, all kinds of different decorative applications you can do to really personalize this. And the other cool thing, here's a close-up of that Poly Sparkle. You can really see it shining in that close-up photo. She also uses these heavy-duty snaps, and she has lots of tips and pointers for working with those. Cheryl's very thoughtful about making her patterns and making sure that they're extremely durable, making sure that you have success with them. She really goes through a painstaking process to make sure that the quality is top notch. So you will absolutely love working with her pattern, working with the products that she carefully curated for this kit. So kits are not required to attend, but we did curate kits in 2 different colorways for this guy. So this is the black ostrich colorway, and these faux leathers that she uses are Paradiso pleather. So she's really spent a lot of time in her career coming up with this beautiful pleather fabric that looks really, really high quality and expensive, but is easy to sew and easy to embellish. So with the kit, you'll get all of the fabric, the pleather, the lining, the vinyl, all of that is going to be pre-cut except for the lining fabrics. So you will be able to start sewing really, really quickly because all you need to worry about is cutting your lining fabrics per the pattern instructions. You'll also get 2 packs of needles, some universals and some leather needles. You will get some stabilizer, which we're going to use as interfacing to really give the tech trapper some great structure. You'll get 3 spools of thread, and you will get the digital pattern all included. There's also a zipper. There's some ribbons. There's so much to this kit. So it's on sale already. It'll be on sale until the day of the event, but on sale now. So I highly suggest getting in there at sulky.com and choosing the colorway that you prefer. So this is the distressed brown. This is another great, really cool color. It's got it almost looks like it's been wrinkled like a real leather. But again, it's that Paradiso pleather. So you can choose black ostrich or distressed brown, and your threads will match, all of those things depending on the colorway that you choose. We also have the digital pattern available separately if you want to gather your own materials, but I think you will find that the curated kit is the way to go because you're going to save a lot of money bundling all that together, and you save a lot of time by getting all of that pleather pre-cut. So it's going to be a really great time on January 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure when you are signing up for the New Year's Eve event or when you're attending our New Year's Eve event to go ahead and peruse all of those education offerings at sewingonline.sulky.com. That's where you will find the Posh Project and Tech Trapper to sign up for. And you can sign up for any of our previous events, like our Holiday in the Hoop with Sweet Pea, where I showed you those ornaments earlier. I will just go back and show you that ornament as well, because that's where you're going to find the design files for that snowflake ornament and these great gift tags that you're going to want to make in the next couple of days so that you have them before Christmas or even before Christmas Eve. They come together so quickly. All right, so that is our ornament party for today. I hope you all enjoyed and that you are going to go out and make some ornaments with your kids or your friends, or even just have a sewing session and put on some holiday tunes and enjoy the hum of your sewing machine and relax a little bit before, friends, family, parties, and the excitement of Christmas comes. So happy holidays to all of you out there. I appreciate you joining me today so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a wonderful rest of the week as we, celebrate Christmas or other holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I wish you the very best as well. Again, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week for another So What as we gear up for New Year's Eve and get closer and closer to that great 4-hour sew-along event. So again, if you have any questions about that event or anything that I talked about today, reach out to us at info@sulky.com. We are here for you. We want to make sure you're having the best experience with Sulky products possible. And we just plain like to hear from you. We also like to see what you're creating with your kits and your Sulky thread and stabilizers. So if you do share out your projects on social media, be sure to tag us and add the hashtag #SewBetterWithSulky. And that way we can see what you're creating and we can share that out as well. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And I will see you next week. Happy holidays, everyone.